Hi, welcome to Daily Dose of Anime Recaps. In this video, we'll be taking a look at episodes 3 through 6 of Season 2 of Swallowed Star. We're at the end of the century. A mysterious virus known as the RR virus appears in Earth's atmosphere, killing 2 billion people and mutating animals into monsters. In an attempt to destroy these monsters, the governments of the world used nuclear weapons. While the monsters survived, human civilization was all but wiped out. 5 nations survived and formed an alliance, providing shelter for humanity in large bases. Much like the animals of Earth, the humans have also gained powers, allowing some of them to become warriors, humanity's defenders against the monsters that plague the planet. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be sure you don't miss the next episodes. We open on Candace defeating a king-level giant demon ape, remarking that even it can't make him really try, and that his fighting power is God of War level now. William calls him and informs him of Luo Feng's rapid rise in the ranking system, and that he's close to breaking Candace's record. Candace is intrigued. We then see Luo Feng in the training tower, as everyone in the training camp watches his rank rising. As he fights the armored dragon in the training tower simulation, it looks like he'll break into the top 100, breaking Candace's record, but he ends up losing and dropping down to rank 102. Still very impressive. As the other warrior students discuss Luo Feng's chances of breaking into the top 100 in the next 2 days, Candace returns and tells Luo Feng that he should stop now. As Candace walks away, William taunts Luo Feng, explaining that tomorrow Candace will be flying out to court Zhu Jin, and that Luo Feng has no right to go for someone from such an important family when he's just a civilian. He tries to patronizingly touch Luo Feng's shoulder, and Luo Feng puts him in an armbar, telling him that he will use the ranking list to pass the social gap and be with Zhu Jin. We then see Candace in the gravity chamber, thinking about all of the pressures on him to succeed in order to maintain his family's position, and all the ways he must do that. As he exits the training chamber, he remarks to himself that Zhu Jin is just a bargaining chip. We then cut to Zhu Jin, attempting to call Luo Feng, but he doesn't answer. Her brother tells her that she should give up on Luo Feng because he could die any day. He also tells her that her grandfather, the head of the family, plans to marry her off to Candace Paulinus to secure a stronger alliance with them. She starts to cry, but eventually Luo Feng does answer, much to her relief. They have a talk about their issues and agree to face them together from then on. The entire training camp crackles with tension as the last 90 minutes of the ranking period is upon them. William praises Candace for being a genius among geniuses, until Luo Feng shows up and makes a bet with Candace that if he can break his record and make it into the top 100, he'll tell his family directly that he's not worthy of dating Zhu Jin. Luo Feng enters the training tower. Luo Feng is doing well in the training tower, fighting against an armored dragon. But as he progresses, the challenge gets harder, and now he must fight 4 armored dragons. He worries he will not succeed within the time limit. He is allowed to die within the training tower, and will simply respawn as long as he is within the time limit. He tries to learn from his previous deaths, and defeats the armored dragons by cracking open a hole in the ground and tricking them into falling down into the lava beneath. With this victory, he breaks Candace's record, rising to 68th place in his first month at the camp, much to everyone's amazement. The entire world is talking about Luo Feng, who has broken the record. Vanina informs Candace that Xingkong is going to give them supplies so that they may take out Luo Feng once and for all. The students are all gathered and informed that Hong has given the order to put them through supernova trials to see who's worthy of extra training. The winner of the trials will also receive an incredible reward: 9 new combat uniforms, 2 new pieces of equipment, a set of any secret technique of their choosing, $10 billion, and a vial of dragon blood that can increase their power 2 levels. The trial will be held in 2 parts: one-on-one fights, where each win is worth 1 point, and then the top 16 will participate in a one-on-one elimination tournament. We then get a montage of Luo Feng defeating student after student in the tournament. We then see Luo Feng face off against Zhao Ruo. She warns him that he'd better not hold back, and they begin to fight. He puts up a good fight, but she's faster, and her knife skills are better than his are. She uses the terrain, in this case a city simulation, to her advantage. She sends 2 trucks colliding into him and wins their match. As they exit their match, she praises him for how fast he's grown, but her mood goes from its usual peppy to slightly aghast as the second part of the tournament's matchups are announced, and Candace is her opponent. Candace and Zhao Ruo begin to fight, and Candace effortlessly begins dodging her attacks, dealing casual blows to her that take her off her feet. Zhao Ruo is not giving up and attacks Candace with everything she has, sending knives, trees, and kicks at him as she attempts to outspeed him with the same agility that had bested Luo Feng. While her attacks are fierce, he begins to up his attack strength with a smile on his face. She is completely outmatched, and he defeats her. Janet begins openly flirting with Luo Feng in front of Candace, claiming she'll be cheering for him if they face off in the final match. Candace seems unfazed by this, and Luo Feng tells her he wants nothing to do with the weird games they are playing with one another. Xingkong finds Luo Feng pushing himself to train and tells him that his skills and strength are no match for Candace. He claims he'll make up for it with his spirit powers, and she takes him down quickly, informing him that he's only really used those powers on monsters and that he's inexperienced in combat with humans. She tells him she knows a way to break through their power gap, but it will be difficult. He'll have to master the fourth thundering saber technique. We are treated to another montage of Candace and Luo Feng winning all of their matches until they are left to fight one another in the finals. The night before the fight, Luo Feng has still not mastered the fourth level of the 9 thundering sabers technique. We then cut to Vanina Paulinus telling Candace that her hacker can hack into the security system and make the pain levels in the virtual fight higher so that Luo Feng's real-life nervous system is affected, and Candace can defeat him. Candace says she shouldn't do that, since the real life or death situation will be after the trials, when the students go to the southern continent to fight dangerous monsters. He tells her that if she wants to strike at Luo Feng, that's the time to do it. He also says that he intends to beat Luo Feng so that his family name can be unquestionably honored. Candace goes on to tell her that he knows she loves him, but that he wants to win by his own strength, and that her coddling of her son may be what made him overestimate himself and get murdered to begin with. Enraged, she ends the call. The next day, tension builds as the students discuss Luo Feng's chances of winning. Luo Feng and Candace silently size one another up and enter the virtual reality chairs. Vanina proclaims to her husband that she doesn't care what Candace wants, and that her hackers have hacked the system anyway, and that during the ideal time, she'll activate it, rendering Luo Feng unable to fight. The battle begins, and while neither lands a decisive blow on the other, Luo Feng is clearly at a disadvantage. Candace finally lands a devastating kick to Luo Feng's gut, sending him through several structures. The fight continues, and it is readily apparent that Candace is not trying very hard in this fight. Luo Feng begins using his spirit powers to perform moves he would not be able to do normally, like walking on the side of buildings. Candace can do the same thing using perfect bodily movements to somewhat counter gravity. The fight begins to even out until Candace's use of perfect bodily movements allows him to not only use the building, but also Luo Feng's body to get the advantage once again. Vanina's hack hits at this moment, and Luo Feng is struck with pain, distracting him. Candace slices off his arm, and everyone notices something is wrong. Candace is angered by his aunt's meddling and throws down his sword, waiting for the hack to pass, as it's only active for 30 seconds. He puts his hand behind his back once Luo Feng stands, intending to continue the fight with no advantage. Luo Feng goes on the offensive, using his spirit powers to their full effect by sending rubble at Candace, but Candace can use the rubble just as effectively. As Candace begins to take the lead once more, Luo Feng masters the fourth level of the 9 thundering saber and wins the fight. When Luo Feng exits his virtual reality chair, Candace is already gone. He finds him sitting on the antler of the dragon statue and throws a can of soda to him, telling him that he's the first opponent he respects from the bottom of his heart. Candace warns him that he should not expect mercy in his next life or death battle, and leaves. Zhu Xin is informed that because of Luo Feng's victory, she won't have to marry Candace. She mentally thanks him for getting her out of her burdens and hopes that he got the charm that she sent him for good luck when he goes to the southern continent to fight the dangerous monsters. Luo Feng orders higher quality knives as part of his reward for winning. He's surprised to see that Zhang Fang and Instructor Yang are the warriors delivering his reward to him, and they explain that with a reward of this value, the security is very high, and so warriors of their caliber are needed to deliver it. Along with his powerful new knives, Luo Feng also receives the dragon blood. He applies it to his chest and gasps as he's racked with pain. His spirit powers fly out of control, sending objects flying up to the ceiling and suspending droplets of water in the air. He passes out and wakes up the next day, sore but invigorated, on the floor. He decides he needs to test his punching power, now that the dragon's blood has boosted his system, and finds that it is 2.5 times higher than the day before. He's now a junior god of war, and once he kills 2 god-level monsters, he'll officially be considered a god of war. Now that the tournament is over, the students will be going to the southern continent to hunt dangerous monsters. We see Vanina Paulinus' husband declare that it doesn't matter how much stronger Luo Feng has gotten, since he'll not be able to get any stronger her, since he plans to deal with Luo Feng himself, and will be ambushing him when he takes his trip to the southern continent. Vanina tells him that she'll arrange for some strong people to go with him as well, so that they can be sure Luo Feng is crushed. Back at the training camp, Luo Feng smiles into the distance, because he feels confident that no matter what dangers lie ahead, he'll be able to deal with him with his newfound strength.